merely just outreach, or does specifically mentioning fundraising tell them something else other than just outreach, is what I'm saying?
Yes, and I think it
Is that a different level of outreach to somebody then?
It's just tailored different.
Okay.
So public outreach and fundraising.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Gordon?
Well, wait a minute, are we trying now to combine the public outreach with the fundraising? Or the public outreach?
Quality of the graphic materials. That's what
Because having the architects do public outreach is going to be for public outreach for input on the design of the building, not necessarily for fundraising. Fundraising is very separate, I think.
No, all the words, Paul Tonelli's question, Paul number 2. It doesn't have to go, it was how important is it that we tell the architects that this will not only be used for public meetings, it will be used for fundraising.
Well, maybe we can look at one sentence.
On page 7.
In the overview.
Well, but I think Clive's point that we don't need to let them know what we're looking to fundraise for.
Yeah, just the fact that we're
Just
fundraising.
we should make the point that
Yeah.
we are
Okay.
fundraising, that we will be fundraising for this money to build this community center, or whatever Gordon comes up with.
Well, we could, I mean, I can think of a couple ways to do it. And one is, and certainly welcome Paul's input as well. One would be a separate bullet saying support for community fundraising. And the other would be putting that same phrase at the end of this already fairly long sentence that talks about the experience in conducting public outreach and preparing public graphic presentation materials, e.g. photo simulations, models, renderings. But that, then speaking to Councilmember Lewis's point, if we say in support of fundraising, it sort of
Yeah.
suggests
We can't do
then
that.
you have suppressed the desire to really solicit input from the community
Right.
for what they expect. So that's why, maybe a separate bullet point would be
Yeah.
support
Yeah,
for community fundraising.
Sure.
Okay.
Collateral support.
But I agree with Paul, it's
collateral,
it's
right.
very
It's
important.
not,
Can we not
it's
use the
collateral
Right.
support, it's not their physical support.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, just make that.
What about graphics and other media will be used as an integral part of the fundraising component of this project?
Yes, and get the word support is gone, thank you.
Say that again, that was good.
Graphics and other media will be used as an integral part of the fundraising component for this
And
project.
maybe even graphics prepared by the architect will be.
Right.
And I'll get that later, and we'll put it in tomorrow.
Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sounds real good.
Are we winding down on things we don't like? Because the next piece is gonna be process.
Can I just?
Yeah.
Say,
Get this thing out the door. Okay. Got it.
okay, I hate to raise this, but it just occurred to me. I'm not sure if anyone thinks this is important or not. We don't ask anything about the financial stability of any of these firms. Does anyone think that's important?
Lawsuit histories, we didn't ask for that.
I
We
think
did in the master's
I
plan.
do have something on claims and litigation,
Yes.
but not financial stability. My experience is I've never had a problem with a consulting firm in that regard, but that doesn't mean it couldn't happen. But if it happens, it's probably for other reasons. Law firms have gone out of business because they get sued. So these firms could go out of business. I'm not sure what we do.
All right, should we move, so Gordon, what is your goal with respect to process? Is it your goal that we're gonna give you an approval right now, that we're gonna set up a subcommittee to work with you to
Yes.
approve it, or that it's gonna come back in a month for final?
No,
approval?
my desire would be to get this to city council at their September 17th meeting, which means I need to finalize it pretty much by tomorrow, so I can get it to George, so he can tear it apart and say, no.
No,
So he
George
could review it.
George is on board.
And so how does this committee feel about either A, just saying good luck and we trust you, to, let's have a subcommittee that we deputize to work with staff, and if they're okay, we're okay, or no, we want it to come back. How do we feel about
Well, the
that?
subcommittee would be like a one-day subcommittee.
It'd be very, very fast.
But
I think we've kind of given the
Yeah.
feedback.
Yeah, I think-
Right.
I think
we trust you.
We're good?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gordon and George.
Okay.
And it's gonna come before council before it's,
How about if you summarize the changes that you think you're making?
I'm gonna do everything you asked for.
Thank you.
Summary.
you are so.
Brilliant.
Good job.
That's why I got
Always
A's
be
in
a
school.
That's a good
No, I
point.
really, as I said to Steve earlier, I really appreciated the input he's given, and I've gotten some from Rose before, and he's right, I should have said, a limited, some input previously, but I've got it, I recognize everything you've done has added to the value and made it clearer. So it's architectural services for civic center design, and again, I'll do that in the overview instead of just professional architectural services, designing sustainable municipal facilities, 23 million excluding soft costs. I've taken out the fundraising dollars.
No, wait, so you're putting down designing sustainable municipal facilities, so we're precluding anybody who has not designed a sustainable municipal facility.
Well, you see how
We're asking
where it
for their
says it.
experience in that,
It
right?
says,
Just, or are you just
oh,
asking?
you're right, it must have demonstrated experience in designing sustainable municipal facilities.
So that's a must-have now.
It is. But again, this committee is going to review and evaluate and provide points based on how your understanding of what they're presenting to you. They may not have designed any sustainable municipal facilities, but if they said, we've just done these other 4 college campuses and they're all sustainable, and we see no problem porting that information over, you can say, yeah, sure, they.
Well, no, that's good, because it includes a range of sustainability, we're not just saying
I think that's
Right.
something.
It could be just,
Yeah.
it could
Yeah.
be just sort of,
Under the MAC 5 sentence,
That's good.
we're not gonna build an answer.
No, no, no.
Right. I've added
Yeah.
scheduling overview, under the site, for the SFPUC water pipe that may require refinement of master plan, as George suggested. The scope of services will match in text the bullet points of the experience. I will reorder the experience based on, and Paul and I will talk about it, sort of a hierarchy. It will not be perfect, but certainly the more important things are going to be closer to the top and the less important down below, and I'll take strong input from him because he's the architect. I've added a bullet point for experience in conducting public outreach and preparing public graphic presentation materials, e.g. And change the ratings to.
You experience in sustainable design investment.
I'm sorry, I've already done that. Experience with, that was already from Steve's input. Experience with sustainable design, e.g. LEED, zero net energy, minimize life cycle costs. And firm and team qualifications are 45%, and quality references are 5%.
Sounds good. Is anybody,
And then George had one sentence that he's probably already sent it to my email, and I'll incorporate that.
the one he read to us?
Right, but so it'll be a little bit more work.
And
Just
do
Paul
it
and I
fine.
have to talk.
Yeah, thank you. Do we have a motion?
I've lost, what's the motion?
We have to approve this for staff to send it to council with our recommendation.
So moved.
Got Rose on the first, we have a second. Thank you, Phil. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? Thank you very much. Good work.
Thank you.
Okay, 4B, environmental consultant, is information only.
Correct, but I just wanted to get, I provided you more information because I want to make sure you're involved. We interviewed 3 firms, they were all well qualified. We got ideas from each one of them, so it was worthwhile to spend the time in the morning doing that. Clive assisted and was one of the team members, and we selected a company called Placeworks. I have some experience with them, actually we hired them in Morgan Hill. Well qualified, seemed to be knowledgeable, and they also had the most aggressive schedule and a fee that was pretty reasonable compared to the scope of work. So that should be going to council on the 17th.
Great.
Have they done any work in Atherton before?
No.
Okay.
That's
And what?
probably a positive one. Just so you
I don't, you're right, Clive, I don't remember, and I'm sorry I didn't bring, I don't remember, some of them have done work for some of the schools in Atherton. And I don't remember if Placeworks had done work for like Sacred Heart or Menlo College, but Clive's gonna look it up right now and let me know.
And what made them stand out again?
What would you say, Clive? They seem to have pretty flexible in terms of their approach.
Yeah, so let's see.
Sorry.
We like the fact that most of the work they were doing was with in-house staff. Everyone else was relying on 10 different sub-consultants. So most of the work, except for traffic, was with in-house staff. And everybody was proposing the same traffic consultant, which was kind of hilarious.
Well, that's of the three that we selected.
That's
The
true.
other, some of the other firms had other traffic
Yeah.
firms.
Wait till the architectural and contractors come in, you will see the same name. So that's not new.
They also, we felt they really understood the difference between the CEQA process and what was important to residents. So they were going to be studying more than what CEQA would require them to. That was important. They had some good comments on the concept of the town lane. So I think that was one of the I had. Oh, and then the fact that they were proposing a 7-month schedule versus some of the other firms were proposing a 12-month schedule. And so their fees were correspondingly lower than the people that were going to take more time. We were getting the same product, so.
So in the staff report, proposed an aggressive schedule, that was the 7-month schedule that you're talking about, and a competitive fee. I had a question on.
Correct, that was the,
Tell me more about the aggressive.
that was the,
Of their
they
schedule.
were, they had the shortest duration in order to achieve the desired result.
Okay.
That was just informational, so should we move on?
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is, you're gonna vote again. 4C, staff, George has asked that we consider changing our meeting from the second Monday of the month to the first Monday of the month, so it gives staff time to prepare for the council meeting. So it's not an extra month delay. Would anyone like to have discussion around that? Does anyone not like that idea?
Well, I would ask that when we produce next year's schedule, we stick to it. Other meetings have been scheduled according to this afternoon, and it really puts burden on some of the community members, not the staff. And I know the staff's got to do, but I would just hope if we produce a schedule next year, we stick to it. Unless we've scheduled on a holiday and somebody doesn't say,
Well-
we'll move that one accordingly.
We can look at that, because the first Monday of the month may be a holiday, so we can look at that and bring that schedule to you.
It doesn't line
Like
up
the
with
next
one for
meeting
a
you
very
can
long
look
time. I looked all the way through May, which is like, how long do we assume we're meeting? Like, if you're gonna produce a schedule,
I think the schedule right now has us going out like in August or something like that. So at the very least, through August next year.
And Teresa usually sends us out some kind of, here,
Are you gonna send us a new
the
schedule?
meetings, but she does it at the end of the year.
Yeah. So you let us know.
so the one that will come up is September. That won't be a problem, but, but there aren't a lot of first Monday of the month things other than that. Okay, we take a vote. Do I have a motion to move our meeting to the first Monday
It's-
of the month?
By the way, your motion would only be to recommend to city council.
We would like to, can we recommend to city council to move our meeting to the first Monday of the month at 4:30 in order to better accommodate and coordinate their meeting?
So moved.
So, Dee, thank you.
Yeah, so
Thank you, Rose, thank you. All in favor, aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? There you have it. Okay, we're moving on to item 5, ad hoc committee reports. The master plan ad hoc committee has no report. The library ad hoc committee, Rick, there's nothing there, right? At this time, no, there's no report. The outreach ad hoc committee,
I believe there was a question that was raised earlier
yes.
for George.
Postcard, yes.
Postcard, yes.
My question being,
Working
part
on
of the outreach committee, you had indicated that your postcard to be sent out at the end of September would
Yes.
be reviewed by the, and we haven't received anything
I
yet.
have.
Okay, fine. I just want to make sure we're
It just
doing our
hasn't been
job.
forgotten.
It doesn't have it,
We're
yeah.
working on it.
We're working on
I
it.
guess the process question would be, if it's approved by the outreach ad hoc committee, can it go out?
Mhm,
That's the process question.
mhm. There's 3 people on the ad hoc, on the process,
It's you.
outreach committee.
Again, this isn't this is just an informational
Right.
postcard that's gonna say, hey, we're meeting, here's when the regular meetings are, then we move to the first Monday of every month, here's the next status, this is what's going on. It's not talking about fundraising, it's not talking about anything else. We could just put this out via an email for the community, maybe we thought a postcard to everyone might be better. So that's the kind of postcard we're talking about.
We just want to make sure it looks nice, you know, since we're kind of in the design.
Well, I'm not gonna put a lot of graphic-y stuff on it, I wasn't doing it.
Well, it just
Maybe the
has
town
to-
logo.
Yeah, but it, I
And
mean, it just has
green
to
letters.
be
Green letters.
formatted, you know, nicely.
Is there any more discussion around that one? About
No.
process?
We'll wait for the product.
Actually, who's on that, can you remind me who's on that?
Christine and Elizabeth and Paul are.
Okay, you'll,
No,
What?
No, it
Clyde,
was Clive.
Clive.
Elizabeth
Clyde,
and I.
Paul, and me.
Oh, I thought it was Christine, got it, sorry.
I think I would like somebody to pass it by the fundraising committee.
Okay.
Just pass it so we can, we're trying to get the same, you know, we all want to be on the same page.
Right.
So can we just see the message?
One option is to ask to be on that outreach committee, because there's only two people, two voting members on it.
I don't want to be in any.
Okay. You had your moment,
She's
okay.
next.
On we go, okay. Now 5D, budget ad hoc committee. That isn't doing anything right now. There's no action on that one. Did you want to come? Go ahead.
No, the only question I had was where we stand with Paul having, the other Paul,
Paul too.
Paul too. Having an update on the original project budget. You were going to be looking at that, and I wondered whether you've had a chance to do anything with that.
Yes, we have. To that end, we've sort of combed through the numbers that Marcine Taylor came up with, and in general, the bottom line is appropriate for the project. There are a couple places where we see that she had estimated fees for specialty consultants that we may not need, and then there are other areas where the escalation cost may vary some. So, but in general, the numbers are adequate for the project.
Great. Good to hear. Any other, okay, project management ad hoc committee is not doing anything at this moment. So, yes. Well, I think the project management ad hoc committee is the one that down the road, I didn't remember, oh, that's for the RFP for the project manager, is that what that one is?
The project manager, no, it's selection of the project manager.
That was that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're gonna, in number 7, we're gonna come back and talk about
Don't
it.
you think we should eliminate that?
Number 7. It has to be on the agenda today.
Right,
We're not going to.
exactly.
Yeah, we're almost there. Project schedule, Gordon. And Gordon, thank you so much for printing it at a larger size. So we can read it. It's, this is where we're going, right?
Yeah, and also,
6A, that's on the back of your agenda. Number 6A.
you'd also asked for something that was perhaps a little bit more specific to tasks. So that's actually 6B, I think it is.
6A and 6B.
Right, together. You're on schedule right now.
That's all we need to know.
6B is this one.
Change the schedule.
It's a memo. 6B is, I think, gonna wanna have some discussion. 6A is just this one. It's this presentation of it. Remember I was complaining I couldn't read it and it's too small and we were just going past it too quick. So Gordon very kindly did, he talks about it.
Actually, I have to give credit to Paul
Paul, okay.
for the 6A part.
So, can we do these two items together? So you don't have to.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay, I think it'd be a lot easier, so then you can go back and forth. So the thing that jumped out to me most, Gordon, that I maybe like to encourage us to focus in on, is two things. One is the scope of the CCAC. And then the second one is the process for choosing the architect after the statement of qualifications come in. But if we want to put anything else on, people can come up with other comments, but those are two things that might be discussed in the memo of 6B or in the schedule of 6B. Are there other comments, or should I go first and give you guys time to think? Okay, so the two things that jumped out to me, number one was on page 2 of 3 of this item 6B. It talks about our scope. And the one thing I didn't see there was is there, this kind of goes through design. I didn't see it going, it wasn't clear what happened during construction. And the one thing that has been discussed a little bit with staff is the CCAC should, I think is gonna wanna stick together, I think council may want us to stick together, it's up to council, to be available if there's a material change in budget or design. If something comes back with, oh, we found a new lateral, oh, we had a 25% cost increase in steel, and the project's now gonna be another $1 million or $500,000 or something, does the CCAC get involved or not?
Yes. Item number
Okay.
7 on page 2 of 3.
Yeah.
That's the clause you're looking at. Once the Civic Center project is underway, the CCAC will continue to work with staff as appropriate to provide feedback on project priorities and direction. That's the way we articulate it within the scope. And then when we talked about it here, I said, from staff's interpretation,
Okay.
that means exactly what you're talking about. So if you run down to.
And George, just so that's exactly what I hit on is, does that include changes?
Right,
Number
so-
7.
Correct. So as you run down on the
January
list,
2015.
and you look at page 3 of 3,
Mhm.
January 2015 through project completion, provide review and recommendation of major change orders requiring city council approval. That relates back to number 7.
And would that also include design changes?
Any major change that triggers council review, which is a major change in aesthetic design, a major budget amendment, a major change order, yeah, that all has to go to council, so it's gotta come here first.
Okay.
That's another question.
Okay, just
So
wanted,
I know that everybody's paranoid about change orders and things coming in over budget.
and the project changing.
No problem, no
Yeah.
problem. But there's a whole nother change that's a really big change, which is how much money we raise. Because we're seeking to raise $30 million, and if we raise $20 million, which is the base, that means one thing, and if we raise $40 million, that's another thing.
Or 15.
Or anywhere in between, depending on what we raise, it has an impact on the project. So we have to look at that and how we're going to deal with that, because we're not gonna be, I mean, we're launched the fundraising by January 15th, but I don't know when it is that we know exactly how many dollars we've raised.
Right.
It's maybe a year after that.
George, you were very clear. That answered my concern. Then the second thing that came up for me was on page 2 of 3, when it goes through the schedule of activities we're going to be doing, October 21st, 14, so next month, we're gonna help make a short list from the people who submit statements of qualifications. We're gonna recommend to council the RFP. Okay, and then I'm not sure if interview architects and recommend selection of an architect to city council is after the RFP, or these are the people coming in from the RFQ. So an RFQ just says, here's what our firm does.
Right.
The RFP is gonna say, here's what we'll do for you. And so I think what we wanna be really clear about for this group is, does this group get to recommend 1, 2, 3 architects after they have presented, here's what we'll do for you? Because it wasn't clear to me from this schedule.
Are you providing a recommendation of the final selection of architect? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
Yes,
you did for
yes.
that.
after the
That's what
RFP.
number 2
Yes.
is.
It wasn't clear to me in this timeline.
But it is here.
Interview
I
architect.
mean, you
But
know,
this is the text. There's
no,
one-
but,
Yes.
Here.
It is.
yeah,
Okay.
short
Okay.
answer, yes. and
Wait,
it's-
I don't understand, because it doesn't, it reads, interview architects and recommend selection of an architect to the city council.
Mhm,
That-
mhm.
And that,
I'm not sure,
In
So
October, you're
this-
preparing the
it's pretty
RFP.
clear.
It's very clear.
so let's just talk about a timeline. Let's
Right.
just make sure we understand it.
Okay,
So when is the RFQ going out? It's gonna go to council in 2
On the
weeks.
17th,
And they're gonna send it out, you're gonna get responses in
on the
October.
3rd.
right. By the 3rd,
And then 3 days later, we're gonna sit and make a decision. So we're
actually, I
About
think 3 days
7
later,
days.
No,
let's-
because we're meeting on the 6th.
Well, there's 7 days, we meet on the 6th, and we've got it from the 6th to the 14th.
right.
On the real matrix.
You know,
This is a summary.
Yeah, no, but just, our meeting's on the 6th, right?
Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that we need to talk about is how do you want to do this? And I wasn't able to define exactly because I don't know whether we're gonna get 10 statements of qualifications
Right.
or 40. If we get 40, I suspect this committee may say, you know, we need more time to review these, and
Got
so
it.
things may be pushed out. But, you know, probably we need to, and on the meeting on the 6th, one of the items on that would be scheduling a special meeting.
Yes, that's.
And I can't tell you
Exactly.
when that should be until we know how much work you have.
Okay, so let's just say it's 10. So on the 6th, what are you going to say, these are our top 3 things? I recommend the council issue them RFPs.
Well, how do you, I guess I'd ask how you want to do it. On the 3rd, you know, I can bundle these up and,
We can
you know,
look at
have
them over the
them
weekend.
sitting here, you know,
You can email them to us too.
or, yeah, I can, yes, I can
Because you're
email
gonna
them,
get a
because I'll get
PDF
them an
of each
email.
one.
And for those who want hard copies, have them available at the front counter, you know, by whatever, I'll have to look at the time. If it's
Right.
4 o'clock, I may have to move that up to 2 o'clock. But anyway,
Right.
so that they're available for anybody that wants to pick up hard copy, so you have the weekend to review them. You don't necessarily have to make the decision on the 6th, you may say, wow, this is really overwhelming, it's gonna take me another 4 days just to read these things. Let's schedule another meeting for, you know, a week from Wednesday, you know, or whatever, you know, you
Let's hope
find
we have the
convenient.
problem with that many.
Or create a subcommittee.
Or create a subcommittee, sure, that's, but I was going under the assumption so far that the committee was acting as a committee as a whole in that selection process.
That's what we've been hearing from everybody.
I just want to be able
Everybody
to
wants to be on
facilitate
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, they all want to be in. So let's just say we get lucky and there's only 15 and we feel comfortable because they're all beautiful and concise. So on Monday the 6th, we come in and we say what? We say these are the top 3?
You-
Or we say go to these 10?
You could, if you all were speed readers.
But what do you envision, Gordon? Just,
Okay, I would think on the 6th, you know, people would say, you know, we just got these, I read them over the weekend, I haven't had time to read them yet. Let's meet on Thursday. You know, there's a 72-hour rule, you can still do that.
Isn't there
Or,
a time they'll need at that point also that somebody's got to check references? Because that may definitely influence the person, the group of people on the RFQ.
yeah, but I can do that in between Monday and, let's assume you have another meeting. It's really not that hard, it's just a lot of phone calls. Well, it depends. If there's 30 or 40, it might not be done in 2 days.
and what's the deadline for getting to council?
The deadline for getting to council for their November meeting is,
Oh, this is not the October meeting.
this is October.
Yeah. Oh, it won't get to,
13th or
it
14th.
it won't get to the October meeting.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm sussing
Just
out
go to
here.
the November.
I don't think it's gonna make it either. It's just too
The
hard to get a
October
special
meeting is
meeting and
on
get a
the
quorum
15th.
and all kinds of stuff.
This is an expensive and a very thorough thing we have to go through to
Yeah.
make sure we.
Okay, so it's likely we'll have a discussion on the 6th.
We could call a special council meeting to review it. We could call a special council meeting to.
Or we'll do
review
it on the November
If we
meeting.
could get the mayor to do something like that, to call a special.
But it could be on the November meeting,
Could be. I mean, this just says the
because you're not
council,
targeting the October council meeting, you're
Right.
targeting the November
Right.
council meeting. So we can make a decision in November.
But we
Okay,
could
what we're
make a
hearing-
decision in October and have, if we want to continue to move things along.
What we're hearing from Gordon is, on the meeting on the 6th, we will have a much better idea of what we are reviewing, how many, and what the time it should be, and if things have to be moved around.
Because our schedule here shows it on October 15th.
Real
And it could be
quick question.
October
That's why I'm pushing it,
18th,
yeah. That's
or it
why
could
I'm
be. Do you
pushing
know what I'm
this a little
saying?
bit, yeah.
Gordon, when is the RFP supposed to be to the city council for release?
in October, but it can be, the council could approve the RFP
Right.
in its format
Correct.
without necessarily saying, and we validate those 6 firms.
Correct.
So it
but
could
we're
be a
not gonna-
2-step process.
We're not gonna
Again,
release the RFP until we
until
have-
the council says, release it to these firms.
Correct.
So what I would really like to hear, Gordon, is your dream view of how this all works. Because I'm wondering when's the RFP come to this group?
Right. Well, the RFP
On
would
the 6th.
It's
come
gonna
at the
come
next meeting. You guys can have that,
On
and it's
the
still,
6th.
right, and it's
It's
still
coming on the
before,
6th.
right, and it's still before the
And
council.
and between now and then, is there interaction with the subcommittee, or is it just coming blind, like, first time we're gonna see it, and it
That,
shows up 2
that,
days
that
before
issue
the
is 7B on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
But, so in terms of process, I'm hoping there won't be an overwhelming number, a goodly number, but not an overwhelming number, and I don't know if that's a,
But just
dozen.
try to give us the,
Guesstimate.
so we can get focused for a second, and then we can go into detail.
So you get,
What
let's
is
say
the
you get,
dream schedule
let's say you
look
get
like?
a dozen qualification statements.
Yeah,
You winnow those down to 6 during the week of October 6th, and you say, boy, this will be great. By the end of the week, we can make a recommendation to council that, yes, we like this RFP because the subcommittee has reviewed it and beaten it, as Phil would say, like, beating the dead horse, and every word is perfect in that. And these 5 firms that we've looked at out of the 12, they're wonderful. Let's ask them to issue their proposal, or to respond to an RFP.
and that RFP would been approved on the 6th.
By this committee, and then by council at their meeting on the 15th.
And how do we get to an approved RFP on the 6th?
That's item 7B.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about that later. Thank you, thanks for the check.
Round
Okay,
and
so
round we
Back to
go.
something.
does it make sense at this moment to look at calendars now, to schedule that meeting in to hold a likely time in October before people's calendars fill
Yes,
up for
yes,
about a
it
week
does.
after the 6th?
Which is exactly the process you used when you selected the architects
Right.
for the master plan. And I remember that, it was an interesting meeting, because you said, well, we can't do a full day, so we had 2 half-days. Because people said, well, if I'm absent for a half-day from work, twice in a week, I can handle that.
I'm just out I'm going the 7th through the Columbus Day, so that's why
You snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
So you don't have
Well, we
that.
haven't scheduled the date yet, so that's why,
Right.
I'm coming back to you. So when do we have to have met by to issue the RFP on whatever date you want to issue it? 15th?
On the
Because council's
15th.
gonna want to approve that list, right?
Council would need that, would need your decisions, if you could do it, would be no later than, I guess, the 8th.
Well, the council meets twice a month.
Okay.
And we can certainly add Civic Center committee items to the first meeting, the first Wednesday of every month, if there's something that needs to run through, so we're not scheduling special meetings and ad hoc meetings here and there.
Mhm.
You have a couple of meetings that you could hit the city council at. If there needs to be an action item on that first Wednesday for this committee, we can certainly put one
But
on.
let's just say that you actually want to have time to call references and give people, let's say if we met the week of I think Columbus Day's the 13th, so if we met somewhere later that week, what does that give you a chance to do? What does that tee you up for?
Well, if I'm calling references for all the firms that submitted their qualifications, let's say there's 20, I doubt that I'd necessarily be able to get all those done in a week.
No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is if we met the 14th or the 15th or the
Okay.
16th, and we said, okay,
Okay, here's the top 5. Yeah,
when
then,
how do you go to council?
November 5th.
then the council meeting would be the 5th,
be good. Sounds good.
and I'd
That's
have everything done.
that doesn't
before.
sound crazy,
Except for
busy,
the
like, oh my
13th
God.
and 14th.
Right.
So the council approves the RFP on October 15th and doesn't release it until they approve the 5, 6, 7, whatever. And they do that on November 5th and release the RFP to them.
Okay. Is our people around on the 14th?
I have jury duty.
Well, you potentially have jury duty.
I better save the day, if you don't.
We'll do it in the afternoon, because you'll find a reason to get off, right? Lucky with your holster on.
Take it away and
Should would it work for people to circle some time the afternoon of the 14th of October?
I can't.
Tuesday?
You can't, but it's because we got 9 of us. Does anybody know they can't do that?
How do we do the 15th?
What's that? Something wrong?
I did something wrong.
It's the day after Columbus Day.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard day after being gone.
Okay, how about the morning of the 15th?
Wednesday, 15th?
In the morning?
Mornings are difficult for me.
And that's
Oh, yeah,
council
Paul
meeting
can never
that
come.
day.
And we're going down to the thing in Pebble Beach. Yeah. Mhm.
You don't, yeah.
It could be early afternoon or something, it could be
Early
early.
afternoon?
I mean, late morning's fine, 11:30.
Well, you're not meeting the folks, right? Are these the interviews that we're talking
No,
about?
No.
So this is just a committee review?
this is committee doing paper sort.
And is this a subcommittee or a full committee?
Is that
Full
okay?
committee.
Well, we can, you can post on the agenda where you're gonna be.
We're
It's
not,
gonna be
we're
on
not
town hall.
interviewing from the RFQ, we're gonna interview after the RFP, right?
Interview the selected.
Right.
I would think so.
The ones who get an RFP and then they submit an
Right.
RFP. Yeah, they're gonna winnow it down before we're interviewing. Okay.
This is a paper exercise, it's
Right.
not it's not an interview exercise.
No, this is just to determine who gets an RFP,
Right.
right?
But,
Yeah. So Gordon, why don't we, so everybody who feels okay with 11:30 on Wednesday, October 15th, and how many hours do you think this is? 2?
I would say,
Keep a few hours.
if you have 2 hours open,
That's fine with me.
Okay.
and what time did you say, Steve?
11:30.
30 to
I
1:30.
couldn't be here until
I
12.
don't
That's not a
understand
big
why
deal.
we, but, so we're getting them on the 3rd.
well, yeah, we should
Why do we have
schedule
to-
something the week of the 3rd, of the 6th.
We're getting,
Because he's not here.
I'm not
Steve's
here,
gone.
and I'm your chair, and we can't get to the thing.
wait a minute,
We can't get,
how
and
long are
he's
you
gonna call
gone?
references.
How long are you gone for?
I'm gone that whole week. I'm here for the meeting and I
Oh,
fly
no.
out the next morning. I'm here on the 6th, but he can't do
Steve,
the
I'm
references.
sorry,
This is
that's-
just our
Look,
cue.
Elizabeth, he can't get the references done. He's
He
getting
doesn't
them
know,
Friday at
he
close
doesn't
of
know how
business.
many he has.
You might be able to get them done.
He's getting them Friday at close of business.
Right, and you're
There's-
gonna package them up and give it
there's
to
10.
us.
We're meeting,
And then the next week, I mean,
I
But there's
can't
no
wait
rush.
until Friday of that week.
If you may though, if we go through 20, say there were 20,
yeah,
and we went through the paper exercise and reading the damn things, and going through all that, and sorted it out, and said, well, okay, now we'll get the top 7, then he can check the references in the
Right,
top 7. Forget
exactly.
the other
well, we
ones.
could do that. But we
Exactly.
could also do it on Monday. I'm just saying, but what's the rush? Because we're trying to meet a council meeting.
Well, if the council has this, the top short list by the 15th, they need that by the 8th or 9th.
It just, to me, feels really,
it doesn't.
It's just
it
blocking
feels to
some
me
time.
Just block
short-sighted.
the
This is,
time.
this is silly, we don't know how many there's gonna be. Why don't you block time in 1 week and block time in the next week?
Because some of us aren't here.
They don't participate.
Or you participate mobilely or remotely,
This is
digitally.
Anybody else have anything?
Well, the RFP